PC Master Race. Chances are you've heard this meme while listening to anyone argue about what's the better gaming platform. But is it true? Does PC gaming mop the floor with consoles, or is there more to the tale? When it comes down to it, the correct answer is highly subjective, with both PC and console having advantages and disadvantages. And there are a lot of variables that will determine what platform is best for you. So let's look at PCs, starting with the soul of any computer, the operating system. Now there are three main operating systems that your computer could use. Those being Linux, Mac OS, and Windows, with Windows by far being the most popular worldwide. Now things have gotten a lot better for Linux and Mac users as there's more and more games being released that are compatible with those operating systems. But given the limited gaming selection, Windows is still really the only option. So now you know what OS you'll be running, you still need to make that choice between desktop and laptop. This again comes down to personal preference, but there are some things to consider. Laptops do have the advantage of being far more convenient for someone who travels a lot or just wants the freedom to game anywhere, but with that mobility comes a hefty price tag, and gaming laptops cost considerably more than an equivalent desktop. Additionally, unless you spend some considerable coin on a high-end model, it's hard to future-proof a laptop. And upgrading your laptop down the road? Not always an option. Desktops, on the other hand, are far more flexible, allowing you to build what your budget will allow while also providing you the opportunity to upgrade that GTX 580 down the line by just popping in a 1080 and updating your drivers. Hardware upgrading isn't just limited to your GPU though. Every component in your desktop can be upgraded or replaced as the years roll on and newer tech hits the market. As for you console users, there is much more variety when it comes to picking a system. Of those choices, the Sony PlayStation and the Microsoft Xbox are the most popular and provide the largest selection of games, but let's not forget about the Nintendo Switch and the various other handhelds like the PlayStation Vita and the Nintendo 3DS. But since we're talking PC versus console, we'll be focused on the Windows-based desktop and the PlayStation and Xbox. The first thing to consider when talking about what's a better experience starts with price. When it comes down to it, consoles are more convenient and considerably less expensive than a gaming PC. The Xbox One X will set you back about $500 and the PlayStation 4 Pro comes in at around $400. And remember, for that price you get everything. Everything you need to game, assuming you already own a TV. Also, when you buy that Xbox or PlayStation on release day, you have that peace of mind knowing that every single game that gets released for that platform in the years to come will work and you're going to have no compatibility issues. Also, when that day comes to upgrade that Xbox One into an Xbox 2, you have a good possibility that that new system will be backwards compatible with all the games that you've purchased over the years. In the PC world, there's no set standard like there is in consoles. Each and every computer is unique, comprised of many different components that affect both its price and its performance. Gaming PCs are normally divided into four categories based on the performance of the hardware they contain. Starting out, you have the entry-level PC, which is priced similarly about the same as the cheapest current gaming console, and provides about equal gaming performance. Entry-level PCs are normally comprised of lower-end hardware, and they tend to become obsolete quite quickly. Next, you have the budget PC. This system will be an upgraded version of the entry-level PC when it comes to performance. When building a PC in this category, the focus tends to be on bang for the buck. However, although these PCs are comprised of components that offer the best dollar per performance per dollar, they also tend to be far from future-proof. 3 spots up, we find mid-range PCs, and these cost around $500 to $800, and they offer great HD performance and can drive some higher resolutions like 1440p and some 4K titles. Mid-level gaming PCs might also offer some VR compatibility. With mid-range systems, you can normally count on them lasting for several years without becoming obsolete. Lastly, we have the high-end gaming PC, and these normally start around $800 and just go upwards from there, costing up to $10,000, maybe more. It just depends on what the user crams into it. These types of machines can game anything, 2K, 4K, 5K, 8K, VR, it doesn't matter. If it's a game, just turn everything all the way up and you won't have to worry about any drop frames. As for future-proof, this is about as good as it gets, as the components are more likely to just wear out before they become obsolete? Yeah, probably. So now we have a breakdown of console pricing versus PC pricing. Let's talk about how they differ in game. First thing to hit on is FPS, or frames per second. If you're gaming on a console, you're going to be gaming at about 60 FPS max, with a lot of games being locked to 30. Let's look at a game like Overwatch. This game runs at 60 FPS on console, and that's it. No higher, no lower, well, hopefully no lower. But on PC, that same title can push 300 frames per second if the hardware can render it and the monitor can display it. Remember, it doesn't do you any good to run a game at 500 FPS if you're only playing on a 6-inch monitor. Now, in slow and static scenes, high refresh rates don't really matter, but in fast-paced first-person shooters, they can be a game changer. This is due to the fact that more information is being provided to you, the gamer. At 60 FPS, the game is providing you with 60 new images every second. And as these images are rendered, you perceive motion on your screen. So the same game in the same situation at 165 FPS on a 165 Hz monitor provides you with 165 new images every second, which you again perceive as motion, but this time, a lot more information about the enemy player is being displayed, making the motion look a lot smoother. This translates into a gamer being able to track and anticipate where an enemy player is and is going much more accurately. For example, think about the human eye. It sees it around 1,000 frames per second. So if you think of it like trying to catch a football thrown at your face, when the ball is thrown, your brain starts to run calculations behind the scenes about where the ball is and where it's going, allowing you to anticipate where to put your hands in order to catch it.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
Easy. Now think of somebody threw that same football, but this time you can only see it 10 frames per second. That would be 196% less information your brain has to work with to predict where that football is going to be. So the probability of you catching the football, a lot less likely, and probably just going to hit you in the face.
Hey, you guys. Oh, my nose!
Another thing to look at quite literally is how the game looks. Now Xbox and PlayStation both offer 4K support, but if you look at the hardware that's running these consoles, and you'd notice that if you build a comparable desktop, you wouldn't be able to run 4K games at 60 FPS. So how are they doing it? One big way they pull this off is game optimization. Because game developers know exactly the specs of every system out there, they know the hardware they have to work with, and they're able to optimize their games to run at 4K resolutions at 60 frames per second. Additionally, they cut down on the graphical load placed on that console. For example, games like Forza 7, things like shadow resolution, field of depth rendering, and foliage density are reduced, making the game easier to render, allowing that hardware to push more frames. Things that would normally go unnoticed unless compared side by side with the PC version. Then there's modification, which can be both amazing and super crappy. In PC gaming, you're playing on a computer, so mods and hacks are easily implemented, making your game experience more enjoyable, like for instance adding new vehicles to GTA 5 that were before unplayable. But this is a double-edged sword, as hackers can implement things like aimbots, and they can have a devastating effect on the gaming community, like what we saw in PUBG for instance. While mods and hacks do exist in the console world, they're far harder to implement and are less likely to be, available to the common user. Another bump to PC gaming is the use of online multiplayer. In PC gaming, if you have an internet connection, you can easily jump online and play your favorite games, something that's not so easy for Xbox and PlayStation users, where you're required to pay a membership fee to take advantage of things like Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus. And as more and more games become internet dependent, having a connection to one of these memberships is almost a requirement. So when it comes down to it, what's the best gaming system? And the answer to that varies. If you're looking for the best of the best, then PC gaming's where you need to be. Also, if you have aspirations of making it big in the esports scene, you might as well trash that console, because while there is esports for consoles, the big money's in the PC universe. So, bummer. But if you just want an easy, hassle-free plug-and-play option that won't break the bank, then you can't beat a console. And for that alone, that's why they'll always be a great choice for gamers. Thank you for watching Major Hardware. I appreciate you and the time you spend on my channel, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up and then hit that subscribe button, one of these sides here. There, right there. Click that icon and get subscribed so you won't miss any future videos. It's been my pleasure. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.